Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live December 2016, with a theme, stage show. I hope you all can see and hear me. 2016. Well, obviously you can hear me, at least I can hear myself. I apologize for that small glitch. Now, hello everyone. Before we begin, I first would like to thank all my patrons for their continued support. It makes this very worth it. It's also so nice to see all the people doing effort. Leaving comments, leaving likes, commenting on the patron post as well. Thank you. Now, first a few small things. I hope all of you know that in January there will not be a Nimja Live. The first Sunday of January is a little bit awkward, and it's also nice for me to have a little bit of extra free time around all the family holidays. I am doing my best, however, to keep at least the release schedule still up and running even during the holidays. So you shouldn't have to miss a single file. And indeed, I see all the happy early birthdays. My birthday is on the 29th of December, and there's a little party at on that day in Amsterdam. Yeah, my hair is not being very cooperative today, I'm sorry. There. It's alright. It's a little bit longer than last time. So as I was saying, on the 29th of December there's a birthday party, and if you live close by enough, you are allowed to ask if you can go. And you can just use the contact form on my on hypno.nimja.com. And of course, this file will also be available to download for free on hypno.nimja.com with the nice background music. Now, of course, another thing, as you all should know by now, I am not able to chat, but I'm able to read the chat while doing these events. And during the hypnosis itself, please keep the chat as quiet as possible. And if you see others talk, you can tell them that the chat has started. I mean that the hypnosis session has started. Let's see if I'm forgetting anything. I don't believe I am. Now, everyone, and the theme of tonight is stage show. There's one thing I am not going to do. Traditionally, a lot of stage shows are more about silly things and some sort of humiliation, making people behave like a dog or otherwise trying to make it entertaining in that sense. Now, I don't do that. I hope you know better than that. So I am curious to see what kind of ideas you have or what you're expecting for the stage show. Oh, by the way, I was tempted to make it a combined theme because the stage show and the workshop were only 3 votes off. It's the closest that the voting has ever been. But don't worry, any theme that doesn't get selected this time, I will keep for a future live. Unless, of course, they are so unpopular that they get no votes at all. Then I might actually have to believe that nobody wants it. Before you are suggesting arousing things, this is a gentle live event, which means that I will not do DS or sexual things for the hypnosis itself. And Nova, on hypno.nimja.com/live, you can vote 3 weeks before the live event begins. This month will of course be different. I'm not surprised that the pink puppy is suggesting to vote for behaving like a dog. Rami, you can see the URL in the description. And no, we're not going to do animal transformations during the stage show. I am sorry. Animal transformation is surely something that we will touch on during a live event, but not today. Now I do see resistance. As if we haven't had enough resistance during live events already. It seems to be popular. Lavender Kitty, we will do Q&A after the hypnosis. Also, I do not have a schedule like that, so I can't tell you when a certain file would be made. And no chickens. Lavender Kitty again asks, when do you think the kitten bedtime videos will be made? Lavender Kitty, I can't answer that. Plus, please wait with questions until after the hypnosis. Someone suggests to do like stage show where we're helping us accomplish whatever they put their minds to. Don't know if that's fit for a stage show. And hello, Texas. It's nice to see that I have fans from all over the world, although there do seem to be a lot of them in the US. But I know that there are some people from different places as well. New Zealand, Australia, Asia. Even maybe 1 or 2 from the Netherlands. The UK, of course. Belgium. Germany. Ooh, Scotland as well. Alright, anyway, let's get back to the question I just asked you. What kind of effects are you expecting for a stage show? It is very, very sweet to see where everyone is coming from. Oh, that's an interesting suggestion from Timmy. If I'm doing stage show hypnosis, I can do it as a theater, convincing the listener that they are a character in a scene. That could work. Yeah. Or maybe forgetting that you're at a stage show. It seems that a lot of people like Timmy's idea. All right. It seems it's pretty unanimous. Now, I'm not going to do any existing play, probably. I try to stay away from copyright problems. But Timmy has definitely given me an idea. All the world's a stage, indeed. All right. Now, we're going to start in a moment. I'd like you all to make sure that you're comfortable, sitting or laying down in a nice place, ideally wearing headphones. Oh, and also for anyone who's listened to the last file, poke. Yes, a hypnosis play. All right. Settle down, everyone. It's time to begin. Are you all ready? Are you sitting comfortably and relaxed, listening to me? Very good. All right. Let's begin. Now, of course, it was Shakespeare who said that all the world's a stage. But of course, in this case, we're talking about a very specific stage. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine sitting in a nice, large auditorium. See, you can't just have a hypnosis show in any random place. In fact, the school was nice enough to let me perform here. A few students knew about me and they were wondering if everyone else would enjoy a hypnosis show. So, here we are. I am standing on the stage, and you are sitting in the audience, looking up at me as stages are elevated, but other than that, simply enjoying the show. Hello, I am Nimja, and this is a stage show. See, most hypnotists have a fancy name like mesmerizer or the master this or the mind controller that, but not me. It is simply Nimja. And the reason for this is that I let you decide what you think of me. Maybe you'll be impressed today, and maybe you'll be bored. I don't know. I can't decide for you how you're feeling. but I can try to guide you. See, we get guided every day of our lives, influenced by the people around us. If someone makes a good joke, we laugh or entertained. If someone makes a bad joke, maybe we frown, or we apply the palm of our hand to our face. See? That made you smile. I just had an effect on you without even using hypnosis. Now the thing is about hypnosis, it's that it's not actually that magical. There's a lot of science behind it, and there's a lot of clever people trying to figure out exactly how it works. And they're about as far with that as they're trying to figure out how dreams work, which is to say, not that far yet. But that's okay. It's still something very enjoyable, like sleeping. And just like sleeping, it's very relaxing and completely safe. Well, you wouldn't want to sleep behind the wheel, of course. And similarly, you shouldn't do hypnosis when you're driving a car. Now, since you're sitting in the audience, you can't be driving a car. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble. No cars allowed in the auditorium. Well, also, the car would probably crash into the stage. I would say ow, bounce left or right, and that would be that, end of the show. That wouldn't be fun. So instead, let's actually have some fun with each other. See, what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to show you a simple form of hypnosis that may or may not work with you. And if it does, maybe I'll ask you up here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Now, hopefully you enjoy listening to my voice. Hopefully you like the cadence and the melody of my voice. I try not to be boring. I try not to talk in a completely monotone voice, which many people do. No, instead, I try to sort of play across your mind, as if I'm playing an instrument. And you can't make a song with one note. Although, a drum maybe, but even there, you use subtle changes and intensities to make for variation. In fact, there's one thing that makes music work, be it drums or instruments, and that's harmony. And that's actually something that we're going to do today. My words will simply play a melody for your mind. And if the harmony is fine, your mind will respond, enjoying. It might relax or even drift away into a wonderful state of blankness. It may just float, feeling light and drifty, and feeling enjoyably relaxed. It may become very responsive to my words, that I could snap my fingers and tell you to drop, and you'd feel yourself fall. But I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Even though some of you have already fallen. Even though some of you in the audience, I could see your heads just lolling forward slowly. And then with the drop came that wonderful feeling of just drop. Your mind going blank, your body relaxing a little bit more. And that nice feeling of my voice just flowing into your mind without you having to think about it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. And with every count, I want you to imagine that you're in an elevator going down. See, we're starting at 10, which is when you're awake. And we're going down all the way to 1, which is where you will be deeply in trance. And that's it. That's all I have to do. See, I've gained some of your trust by showing that I'm just nice and gentle, and I'm not an evil overlord trying to take over the world. I have the wrong laugh for that currently. We'll see later if I'm evil, okay? See, that smile, that little smirk, it's just me playing a melody across your mind. 10. All you have to do is listen and enjoy. 9. Slowly going down. 8. Thankfully without any elevator music. 7. But a nice, relaxing cadence. 6. Going deeper and deeper. 5. Letting yourself relax more and more. 4. Just enjoying that warm, relaxing feeling. 3. Almost there. 2. You can almost feel the relaxation. And 1. Drop deep. Now see, you are nice and deep, and I think you would make a wonderful subject for a little display of hypnosis here on stage. And all you have to do is just come up here. And just like that, you can feel yourself already moving. Without thinking about it, you got up from your chair in the auditorium, started walking to the stage, stood in front of me, and with just a flick of my head, you realized that you should face the audience. Now this is where lots of stage hypnosis tries to show off the powers that the hypnotist has over the subject. Usually by making them do silly things or making them do intense things. I, however, have a different plan. See, the thing is, everyone in the audience is less hypnotized than you are. And they don't know how good that feels. They have no idea how good it feels to be deeply hypnotized. Otherwise, they'd be up here with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to show them how good it feels to be hypnotized. And the better you feel, the more deeply you feel it, the more amazed the audience will become. Now, of course, I'm not going to ask you to stand this whole time. So, thanks to a little helper, a chair is now right behind you. And if I touch your forehead and make you drop, you easily fall into the chair with a little bit of guidance. And there you sit. So relaxed. Now the audience is captivated. They've seen you go from almost a robot walking onto the stage without really paying them any attention to a complete ragdoll. You could almost hear the gasp. The audience is quiet, staring, fascinated, and it feels so good. It feels so nice to just have this experience. See, the thing is, the audience doesn't have as nice a feeling as you do right now. You are both the center of attention, but also the center of relaxation. You are so incredibly relaxed, and the more relaxed you become, the more amazing it is for the others. And what makes this so much fun is its subtlety. Its wonderful, delicious subtlety that you feel when you're this relaxed. Now, with just a few simple words and touches, I make you stand. But your mind still feels relaxed. Your mind still feels so relaxed, and you can feel how the audience is staring. When I ask you to open your eyes, you look out at the audience. And you see them all looking at you, curious, amazed. And you feel that you are the center of attention, not because of ridicule or humiliation, but because of awe, because you're impressing them. And you can feel deep inside that every single member of the audience secretly wishes that they were you. And I give you a very simple suggestion. I tell you that some of them make your feet glue to the stage. Then they walk away and ask you to join them, making fun of how you can't move. But no, I do something much nicer. I tell you that every step towards me is deeper in trance. Even though it becomes more difficult to walk towards me, you still want to. And the audience can see it. The first step is easy. The second step seems to slow down already. The third's becoming almost glacial. The fourth, so slow that your movement is almost not noticeable. And the fifth, last step, wow, you are so relaxed and so calm inside that your movements seem to be slowed down in time so much that you're like a statue. But everyone can see that you are so peaceful, so calm inside, that they envy you. And it feels good. And just as you're trying to bridge the last few inches, I touch your forehead and you drop deep. I grab you by the wrist to make sure that you don't fall on the ground, but I sit you down. I sit you down and I let you know that you're very nice and deep. Now we're going to do a little play. We are on a stage after all, and since we are on a stage, we must be in theater. And since we are on stage in a theater, we are in a play, which means that you and I are in a play. Now, you want to perform well, don't you? You want to do your best on stage. See, this is not like TV, where if you make a mistake, they can just do another take. No, here on stage, you give it everything. When you are on stage, you focus on the performance itself. Now, this play is very simple. I am an evil hypnotist who is trying to mesmerize an innocent subject, and you are playing the innocent subject. So the first few moments you act resistance. You act as if you don't want to be mesmerized. You want to resist. But you know that the guiding tone of the mesmerist cannot be resisted. You know that you will fall. You will fall for his control. I help you stand up and I ask you to take a few steps backwards. Now we are both on the stage, facing each other, and when I snap my fingers and say act, you can feel it happening to you. Act. Now you see me making grand movements with my hands, overplaying the evil hypnotist. I move my fingers across, I wave them in front of your face, and I tell you that you are under my control. But no, you very convincingly act as if you resist. You know that you are the innocent damsel in distress, the classical scene of being taken or kidnapped by the evil mesmerizer. And you resist, you say no, you make your face go the other way. You look the other way. And as you do so, you realize that you can't help but look back. You can't help but keep looking back. And slowly your resistance melts. And this wonderful bit of play, this wonderful theater production of a victim, a subject, slowly being put into a mesmerized state. Your own movements slow down until you finally stand there on the stage, straight, stiff, quiet. You stare at me with an unblinking gaze. And as you see me staring at you, you know that you've lost. When I snap my fingers again, you turn to the audience and bow, smiling. They don't clap. They are too mesmerized themselves by the performance. You can see them all stare, jealous, awed, confused but amazed. And I move my hand to the chair, motion you to sit. And you do, and as I touch my forehead, as I touch your forehead, you slump in the chair, and you're out again. Now in a moment, I tell you, I'm going to wake you, and all I have to do is count you back up. And after I wake you, I want you to make a small bow to the audience, and when you get back, be prepared to answer many questions. I'm sure that a lot of people will want to tell how it felt to be here. And they want you to tell how you felt being on stage. Part of my stage show. I lean in to whisper in your ear, well done. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, a little more. 5, 6, almost awake. 7, 8, almost there, and 9, 10, wake, and welcome back. And I hope everyone had fun. Oh, sorry to hear it, Chris. You know what time it is. Now don't worry, it will be online again. And about half an hour after the event, the recording should be online as well on hypno.nimja.com. Now give me a moment to recompose myself, and then we get ready for the Q&A. I'm glad to hear you went under, Ian. And yes, it was quite cute that I slipped up a little bit. It happens. Actually, I don't know if any of you notice, but I do cut out these small mistakes for the recording on the site. The live event is completely unedited, but the files on the site are very minorly edited. I don't edit my voices in pitch or anything like that, but I do cut out mistakes. And of course, everyone makes mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you can't learn. Now, I am curious if there was some lag. I didn't notice any on the file itself. On the YouTube stream, I mean. Well, I'm glad to hear that you like the mistakes. And of course, you could bring a car to a show if it was an open-air thing. Like the old-fashioned drive-in cinemas. Alright, anyway, let's begin the Q&A. Any questions? Lizorio says, if you didn't make any mistakes, we would start to assume that you were an evil llama hypnotist. Not sure why the llama. Octavia Hall has the first question. Do you drink coffee? I do not. I generally avoid beverages with caffeine. Emily asks, did you find it? Yes. Chris Stevens asks, what did I miss? Well, you'll have to rewatch it. Samantha asks, hi, have I missed it? Yes, you have. I mean, if you mean the hypnosis. If you mean the Q&A, no, that has just started. Eight Knives asks, so how's that definitely not an evil overlord laugh coming along? I don't know, it's going very bad with that laugh. Rami asks, I know some countries require licenses if you want to do hypnosis. Do you need a license in Holland? Actually, you don't need a license for recreational hypnosis. You need a license for hypnotherapy, which has more to do with the therapy part. Grinning Wolf asks, do you plan to do anything with Christmas? Yes, I visit family. Georgina Rice asks, do you like pina colada or getting caught in the rain? Actually, I bicycle in the rain frequently. I don't drink much alcohol. Lesorios asks, if you could only program with one programming language, which one would you choose? I wouldn't, because it would be very, very annoying to do everything with one programming language. Georgia asks, do Dom decorate their Christmas trees with tiny petals and bondage tinsel? Obviously. Cheyenne asks, what was the hardest thing to learn in hypnotism? Confidence. And basically allow yourself to make mistakes. It's same as any performance thing. Like if you play music, you'll learn the same thing. You need some confidence in your own skill, and you need to allow yourself to make mistakes and just go past them. Firefeather asks, will you ever make a file with you being evil? I have. It's called Demonic Corruption. I probably will make more files with me being evil. Also, the site has several rape type files that are quite evil. Susie Brown asks, have you seen Salad Fingers? I have. I still visit Newgrounds every now and then. Salad Fingers is alright. Ruth Ann asks, for someone who's wanting to get into hypnosis more, how would you suggest for someone to relax more? Practice and maybe experiment with different visuals or methods of relaxation if you prefer sitting or whatever. Several people have asked, how did you learn hypnosis? That is a combination of many things. There are sites online, I've used books from the library, and I've been taught by other hypnotists. Eight Knives asks, if you were a D&D character, what would your race, class, and alignment be? Probably chaotic good. And, I don't know, Wood Elf Druid. Actually, maybe a human bard. Because they do have hypnosis. Hannah Houston asks, is there a tied up sub-angel on top of my BDSM Christmas tree? I wish I could find one. Emily asks, have you ever driven a car? Technically, no. Wow. I'm just going to do your first name. Alistitava asks, can you try to say my name? It was a very difficult name. Lesorios asks, sir, how do you do the tease voice? By getting into a very teasing state of mind. Probably. Firefeather says, well, I meant more of you taking over the world and us being your minions. I should probably at some point make a minion file. But not to be confused with the things from... Yeah. Sed asks, are you a bit of a goth? You always seem to wear black. Well, no. But this t-shirt just happens to be nicer with white on black rather than black on white. Octavia Hall asks, what's your favorite childhood character? Character as in from a book or a show? I don't know. Probably Gambit, because his name is Remy LeBeau. Also, I think Gambit is pretty awesome. At least the one from the old X-Men cartoon series. In the comics and in the modern X-Men, he's not as nice. Emily asks, what are your favorite punishments to give a sub? Ooh, difficult question. Favorite? I don't know. As a real punishment, probably lines. But ideally, I try to make a punishment that helps them remember what they did and what not to do. Georgina Rice asks, what's the worst file you've ever made? I don't know off the top of my head. Cheyenne asks, why do you never laugh on stream other than the totally not an evil overlord laugh? Well, basically because, well, I have laughed on stream, but I'm also trying to keep my attention on the chat, which just does require quite a bit of attention. Liz Oreos asks, sir, did you steal my Oreos or could you buy me some? I'm sorry, you live too far away for me to buy you some easily. Anime Lover asks, do you like video games or cosplay? Those are two very, very different things. I do like both. Eight Knives asks, opinions on thigh gaps on both genders. They usually are an indication of health, as long as it's not ridiculous. Autumn Hart asks, what hypnosis books do you recommend? I don't know the list by heart. It's probably best to check on reddit/r/hypnosis. Firefeather asks, do you cosplay? If so, who has? I do not usually cosplay. Hannah Houston asks, do you like any Tumblr blogs? Well, I'm not on Tumblr myself, but there are one or two I like. ZKO is very nice, as well as Emily Rose. Octavia Hall asks, is there a Comic-Con where you live? Yes, there is. There is a Comic-Con in Amsterdam. It was very fun. Lavender Kitty asks, what kind of dom do you feel like you identify with most? I am not sure. I don't consider myself too sadistic, but yeah, it varies a lot. Emily Rose asks, do you know any brave ladies? Yes, I do. I think they're fighting crime. Hannah Houston asks, have you been playing any new games lately? Yes, I have. I've been trying to go through Shadow Warrior, which is a lot of fun. Katana slicing demons in first person. Octavia Hall asks, do you have a favorite actor or actress? I quite like Johnny Depp and I forgot his name. He played James Bond and he was in Entrapment. Sean Connery. And I also like Mila Jovovich for various reasons. Well, at least the characters she plays. And would I ever want to be one? I don't think so. Grinning Wolf asks, what do you enjoy doing with your subjects the most? Hypnosis. Fraser Leith asks, do you play with men and women? Much more with women. It's very rare for me to be interested in men, but it has happened. Chloe asks, how has your day been? It's been pretty good, actually. Eight Knives asks, you don't seem to like speaking Dutch much, at least on stream. Why is that? Because only a very, very small percentage of people will know what I mean. Maar het kan wel hoor, maak je geen zorgen. Cheyenne asks, what Dutch stereotypes are very untrue? We don't all wear wooden clogs, we don't all smoke. In fact, because it's legal, it's relatively rare for people to use drugs. The money thing is totally true, though. Lizorius asks, sir, what is your sarcastic, excited voice? Yeah, that's very hard to do. Sarcastic, excited. I am so looking forward to that. Octavia Hall asks, have you ever done hypnosis to a random person that sees you at a store? No. Consent. I need consent. Stardust Supernova asks, what is petting zoo in Dutch? Kinderboerderij. Rami asks, did you see and enjoy Doctor Strange? I have not yet seen it. Autumn Heart asks, which Pokemon starter? Obviously Bulbasaur. I've just been watching SGDQ 2016. Rebecca White asks, isn't your birthday soon? My birthday is on the 29th of December. And there is a party in Amsterdam. May Elizabeth Callan asks, what type of moves do you like? I am not sure what you're trying to ask. Probably the wave. Firefeather asks, do you like tulips? They're okay. They can be very pretty. Hannah Houston asks, how would you say Merry Christmas, you filthy animals in Dutch? I wouldn't. It would be cursing. Liz Orios asks, sir, would you yiff the fox? I don't know what he says. Cheyenne asks, in the last live, what did you say in Dutch? Several things. Octavia Hall asks, do you get excited for your birthday every year? Well, yes and no. I've had good and bad years with my birthday. Usually I consider my birthday a time where I do something special for me. And it's not so much about the people as it's just about having fun. I spent one birthday playing a tabletop RPG, which was a lot of fun. Shauna asks, is there a reason for the sudden influx of little files? Well, yes and no. Files come in basically what I feel like. So a while ago there were a lot of Factoid files, and now there are more little files. Christerina asks, literally several things. No, I mean that I said quite a few things in Dutch last time. Chris Stevens asks, will you ever have a male sub? It is unlikely. I am willing to play with men, but as in ownership, probably not. Emily asks, what type of artwork do you own? I own some drawings, some etchings, and a very nice painting. May Elizabeth Callan asks, sorry, I mean, what movies do you like? The Fifth Element, Howl's Moving Castle, let's see, Le Fabuleux Destiny d'Amélie Poulain, and Empty Houses, or Three Iron, or Bin Jip, which is a Korean movie, but it's very interesting. Autumn Heart asks, why is your voice so silky smooth? I don't smoke and I don't drink alcohol. Susie Brown asks, what is your favorite file up to date? I don't know. Liz Orios asks, hand movements, please. Octavia Hall asks, are you more proficient in speaking English or Dutch? Well, Dutch is my native language, but I would say that I'm very fluent in English. Stardust asks, why does petting zoo translate a children farm in Dutch? Well, it's better to translate it as farm for children, not a farm where we keep children. Hannah Houston asks, have you ever tried cannabis? Yes, I have. It was okay. I don't have an addicting personality. Addictive personality. Anyway, I don't easily get addicted to stuff. Rebecca White asks, haven't you gone as something to a fantasy con, like a wizard or something? I have not. I don my robe and wizard hat. Sorry, ancient quote. Lisorius asks, have you heard of Brizzy Comics? I have not. Minty Danish asks, what's your favorite type of music? Ambient chill out. At least if I go by what I listen to the most. Because ambient chill out music is very nice to program with. But I listen to a lot of electronic and non-electronic music, and my interests vary greatly. Octavia Hall asks, what kind of superpower would you have? Isn't it obvious? Octavia Hall asks, how do you not generally get addicted into something, not even food? That is a weird question to answer. Lisorius asks, sir, how do you punish a daddy? Normally it's not the task of a little girl to punish the daddy. But brattiness is usually the accepted punishment for a daddy. Shauna asks, what is your interpretation of the end of Bin Jib? Ooh, someone has seen the movie. I'm sorry, Shauna. If I say anything about the end of the movie, I would spoil it for those who have not seen it. I would say that it's somewhat sad. Eight Knives asks, what are the odds that someone unknowingly ends up the weight loss file to fuel a potentially develop anorexia? Well, that should not happen. My weight loss file is very explicit in that you should keep eating healthily. That it's not about not eating, but it's about eating enough. Seth asks, do you like Greek mythology? And if so, who is your favorite gods? Let's see if you know your Greek mythology. The god of art and science. Rebecca White mentions me holding a crystal ball in a photo. That is at the Elf Fantasy Fair. Kira Todd asks, sir, can you say poke again? Hannah Houston asks, have you ever seen Pan's Labyrinth? I have. I don't like it as much as most people think I would. I'm not a fan of war movies. Susie Brown asks, can you give us a hint on what the file on Thursday is going to be about? No. Georgina Rice asks, Apollo? Yes. Octavia Hall forgets to add a question mark. Rami Ungar asks, what are some holiday traditions in Holland? Well, there is Sinterklaas, which is not the same as Santa Claus. In fact, it's what Santa Claus is based on. And there's Christmas, and the tradition for Christmas is not so much gifts as it is just being together with family. And of course, we have New Year's Eve, and I have noticed that New Year's Eve is not the same everywhere around the world. But by the way, as for holidays, Sinterklaas is better because it has all the candy. Eight Knives asks, have you ever had kaya? I don't think I have. Tiana asks, have you ever read or heard of the Percy Jackson series? Yes, I've seen the first movie. And Georgia asks, how do you teach the humans around you to meow more? Meow. Octavia Hall asks, can you think fast? Put 3 words together. Cat, bed, fall. The cat was laying on the bed but fell down. Shauna asks, what is the name of the bundles of stick that naughty children get? De roux. It is a very old-fashioned Dutch word. Rebecca White asks, how long have you worn glasses? Since I was... I'm going to say 8. I'm not 100% sure. Firefeather asks, what do you want for Christmas? I think a Merry Christmas will do. Octavia Hall asks, what do you do if a little kid doesn't want to go to sleep right away? Well, actually, what I would do is simply leave the kid in bed, and if he keeps making noise, give him a timeout on the chair, not doing anything fun, and then after a moment when he or she is willing to go back to bed, because bed is much nicer than sitting on a chair, then you put them in bed. I think a chair timeout is an acceptable form of punishment as long as it's not overused. Rebecca White asks, what is your favorite shade of lipstick on a woman? That entirely depends on the woman. It can be anything from a deep red to a dark purple, or even a brighter color depending on the shade of their skin. And the pale blue of a winter sky would actually make for a very creepy but cool looking lipstick. Did I miss a question? Lesorius asks, what is the cringiest thing you could say while trancing them? I don't know. May Elizabeth asks, have you been to any rock concerts? Oh, yes, I have. I've seen Metallica live. Although, I suppose that counts as metal rather than rock. But, yeah. Rachel Nordberg asks, when will you do a becoming incontinent or unputty training hypnosis? When will I do an incontinence hypnosis? There is a text version of this, but I may make a file one. It's on my list. Seth asks, what's the 7-letter word containing thousands of letters? Infinity? Kira Todd asks, can you do the snake voice for the rest of the Q&A session? Well, if I answer yes, I do it in the snake voice, but no. Oh, yeah. 7 letters. Oh, alphabets probably. No, it's only 26 letters. I don't know. Octavia Hall asks, can you take your glasses for a second? I took them. You didn't say anything about off. Too bad the human girl asks, are hugs an option? Yes. Hugs. A grinning wolf asks, do you enjoy snakes in a kinky way? Well, not in person. Hannah Houston asks, have you ever seen Pee-wee's Playhouse? I have not. A lot of the common American shows are not that common here. Susie Brown asks, are you right or left-handed? I am a standard right-handed person. Maya asks, which Johnny Depp movie do you like? Almost all of them. Octavia Hall wants me to take my glasses off. No, now you're too late. Starter Supernova asks, do you agree that everything is better with lasers? No. It does become more awesome, but not necessarily better. I mean, frigging sharks with frigging laser beams attached to their frigging heads does not improve your situation. Lavender Kitty asks, how long is the list of video ideas you have? I think about 185. Lesorius asks, can you make me all squirmy, please? No. Rami asks, are you a Doctor Who fan? I like Doctor Who, but I'm not keen on the last one. My favorite Doctor is probably still Christopher Eccleston, strangely enough. Rachel Nordberg asks, what is your thoughts on Daddy Dom Little Girl? Someone has obviously not been looking at my latest file. Actually, I should say files. Grinning Wolf asks, which Johnny Depp movie do you not like? Most of them are at the very least okay. Like, none of them are terrible. Octavia Hall asks, in terms of length, how long has your hair ever been? Actually quite long. Easily reaching my chest. Cheyenne asks, can you make a joke that only people who watch your videos understand? A joke? WTMD, question mark? Rebecca White asks, sex with lasers? Well, it would be epic. Rami asks if I mean Peter Capaldi. Yes, Peter Capaldi is the last Doctor, I think. Octavia Hall asks, have you ever watched The Legend of Korra or The Last Airbender? I've seen all of The Last Airbender. I've only seen a few episodes of Korra because I was disappointed by it. But someone has told me that Legend of Korra gets significantly better in the second and third season. Emily asks, thoughts on women wearing boxers around the house? Sexy. Don't know why. Just cute. And about Peter Capaldi as a Doctor, it has nothing to do with him being too old. There are other old Doctors which do it beautifully, but he was just annoying. I'm sorry. Stardust asks, how big is your shower? Big enough for 2, not big enough for 3. Cheyenne, it's kind of a joke. It's WMYD. Now I got confused by you typing it. Lysorios asks, if you had to choose between a kitten or a little, which would you choose? A little with a kitten. Grinning Wolf asks, how often do you get women asking for, quote-unquote, a night with you? Interesting question. Not nearly as much as you'd think. Hannah Houston asks, have you ever seen the movie Time Bandits? I have not. Rachel Nordberg asks, what time is it where you live? It is now 11:09 p.m. Octavia Hall asks, have you ever watched Power Rangers? Eight Knives asks, what is the Dutch equivalent of Netflix and chill? That is a good question. I don't think we have an up-to-date adage yet. Firefeather asks, what's cuter to you, a girl around the house dressed as a black cat or a girl around the house dressed as a white rabbit? That's a good question because both of them are hard to catch. What about both, like the black cat chasing the white rabbit? Octavia Hall asks, whoa, how did you whistle with your teeth like that? It's tongue whistling rather than lip whistling. Because if I whistle with my lips, it would be way too loud for the microphone. Welina asks, where is your background music from? I made it myself. If you check out nimja.com, you'll actually find much more music. Susie Brown asks, have you seen Oggy and the Cockroaches? I have not. Cheyenne asks, when did your parents find out about you being a hypnotist? When I started doing it more seriously, or at least more online. Rachel asks, what is your thoughts on a little who wants to become unpotty trained? So this falls under the incontinence suggestions that I've had before. It is on my list. Octavia Hall asks, did you know that your background music sounds like the song Rue's Farewell from the Hunger Games? No, I did not. But my music is based on a very simple instrument called a warm pad, which is available on every synthesizer ever. Even the ones from the 1980s. Grinning Wolf asks, if you have a woman asking for a night, what would you say and what would you do? See, this heavily depends on who is asking, why they're asking, and usually I make sure that there's at least consent. I'm willing to meet almost anyone, but a night does mean that you have to have some connection with me. Stardust Supernova asks, are you a robot? No, I am definitely not a robot. Firefeather asks, do your parents approve of you doing this? Well, they know about the hypnosis. They don't know about the cute puppy girls that may run around my house. Lavender Kitty interestingly asks, what kind of gear, tails, ears, collars, etc., if any, do you like to see on your submissives? Ooh, that is a very nice question. Cat ears are definitely approved, and especially the emotional moving ones, although they do make noise when they move, which is a shame. Rosalie Charming asks, what is your accent? I can't place it. Are you American? No, I am definitely not American. I am from the Netherlands. The Netherlands. Rami Ungar asks, are you a Cyberman with double N? No, I am not. Octavia Hall asks, oh my god, how did you talk like a robot? I have no idea what you're talking about. Rebecca White asks, would you ever do voice acting? Maybe. Voice acting is a full-time job, and I already have a full-time job, and I already have my whole hypnosis thing. I think it would become too much. Over 9,000 Cookies asks, do you like dogs? Yep, I also like cats. I'm one of those rare people who likes both dogs and cats. Susie Brown asks, can you please do a British accent? This was my lame attempt at a British accent. Octavia Hall asks, that is so awesome. Can you teach me how to talk like a robot? Well, first train with doing a rolling R with your tongue in the back of your, against the top of your mouth. If you can do that, you can train to be chewy, and then you can try to talk like a robot. Alice Titava asks, can you type something? I want to know what typing sounds with the mic on. No, sorry. I slide my keyboard out of the way for this. Grinning Wolf asks, do you enjoy colors on your subs? Yes. Kira Todd asks, what kind of sign language do they have in the Netherlands? Similar to American, but there's a few variations, I believe. Eight Knives asks, did you have any other pseudonyms before Nimja? And what were they? Spirits. Just spirits. Octavia Hall asks, what other voices can you do? I don't know if I'm particularly good at voices, but I am able to at least do a few voice types. Next time, Gadgets. Next time. Cheyenne asks, can you try to do an over-exaggerated Dutch accent? I am Dutch. Isn't that amazing? Firefeather asks, do you like lace or leather? Well, it's a bit too hot on my skin, but it can be very sexy on a sub. Grinning Wolf asks, how did you get the name Spirits? Actually, because of a detective game that I was playing with a friend of mine. He came up with Green Spirit, and I dropped the green. Octavia Hall asks, do your friends or family call you Nimja? No, they do not. And by the way, we're going to stop in 14 minutes. Lavender Kitty asks, what advice would you give to a teenage girl about to start public school as a junior after homeschooling her whole life? Well, I have zero experience in being both a teenage girl and being homeschooled, because homeschooling is not allowed here and my gender is rather obvious. The advice I would give is just take it as it gets. There's very little you can do to improve the situation, so just be yourself. Eight Knives asks, now I'm interested in hearing how Nimja would handle tonal languages like Chinese. Well, I don't speak Chinese, but I do speak a little bit of Japanese. Nanika nomimasu ka? Emily asks, are you good at kissing? I think I'm alright. Octavia Hall asks, do you prefer the Flash or the Green Arrow? I actually prefer the Quicksilver from the X-Men movie. But I think the Flash is a slightly more interesting hero. And Georgia asks, do you mind subs biting you? As long as they don't bite hard, it's fine. Madison asks, what's your favorite video that you've made so far? I don't know. I'd have to look at the list. Susie Brown asks, can you please give us some implication on how to find your name? It's driving me crazy. Oh, but what's the fun in that? What are some Dutch sayings that are really silly translated literally into English? Well, my favorite is a saying that just means something is weird. And the saying is, that's like hitting a pig with pliers. There's also a variation among students, which is, that's like hitting a drum set with your cock. I don't know. I wish I thought this up. Firefeather asks, how do you feel about knee socks? Especially rainbow ones. Very sexy. Firefeather asks, can you do an American accent? No. I'm not great at accents. Christerina asks, do you like biting your subs? Yes. Emily asks, do you like early morning wrestling? Yes. as long as I don't get late for work. Lesorios asks, cheeky or bratty? Difficult choice. Grinning Wolf asks, what would you tell a sub wanting to become more of your sub on a personal level with you? To contact me through the site. hypno.nimja.com/contact. Eight Knives asks, I think I might be developing a crush on someone. How do I stop it? Turn off the hydraulic press. Tiana V asks, more hand movements? No. By the way, about crushes, sometimes it helps to try and write down both what you think is good and bad about someone. But it's hard to control your emotions. Octavia Hall asks, before you end this video, can you say happy holidays in the robot's voice? It's so cool. What was it again? Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. Madison asks, how long have you been a Dom for? Too long. No, 15 plus years. Octavia Hall asks, what advice would you give to someone who has bad personality? Work on improving yourself. Maya Star asks, evil overlord, laugh please. No. Emily asks, very interestingly, are you comfortable with your subs being poly? Yes, I am, actually. Some subs have other play partners or similar things, and I think it would be extremely hypocritical of me to not allow them. Firefeather asks, do you like getting breakfast in bed? Well, considering I eat cereal, it's possible but slightly unpractical if I spill. I do actually like it. Octavia Hall asks, what advice would you give to a friend who's going through depression? You're not alone. Lavender Kitty asks, how do you feel about underage littles and pets? Well, I would apologize to them that I cannot play with them, but I hope that they stay true to themselves. Chloe asks, ever had a real sub before? That depends on your definition. I have not lived together with someone who was only my submissive. I have had girlfriends living with me who were submissive to me during play. May Elizabeth asks, what do you do in your spare time when you're not doing any hypnosis videos? I talk to people, I play games, sometimes I do some programming. Emily asks, are you comfortable with your sub being monogamous even though you are poly? Yes and no. This is very dependent on the sub. If the sub can handle it, it's okay, but it is very often a recipe for friction. Oh, and I also, speaking about things that I also do in my spare time, I read, I watch movies, I watch YouTube fair bits with SGDQ. Octavia Hall asks, what is your favorite word? Nevertheless. It's sort of posh and old-fashioned and people don't use it too often, but if you use it, it doesn't sound too awkward. Unless, of course, you use it in a very stupid place. Cheyenne asks, what's something about hypnotism that you wish you'd have learned long ago? Something that you didn't know when you started that you should have known. Mm, don't perform. Octavia Hall asks, can you talk like the Minions? No. Well, Firefeather asks, is it safe to say that you started being a dominant after puberty? Well, it's not exactly how it works. I've been dominant my whole life, but I didn't have the interaction with submissives until then. Lizorius asks, do you have any advice for someone who is not good at sharing dominance? Talk to your dominant. It's the best advice I can give in almost any situation. Octavia Hall asks, how was college life for you? Was it really hard and how did you get through it? It was terrible, which had to do with several students and teachers not behaving properly. And yeah, how did I get through it? Time. Alice Titava asks, if there isn't going to be a live next month, can you see you later in Dutch? How about if I say see you next year in Dutch? It makes more sense. Zie jullie volgend jaar. Emily asks, will you have fun tomorrow? Maybe. It's going to be a lot of traveling. Firefeather asks, what's your favorite thing for your subs to do for you, sexy or otherwise? Ooh, favorite thing. Well, one of my favorite things is feeling their gratitude. So after a very intense session, it's really nice to feel them cuddling back rather than being cuddled. Or, for example, giving me a small massage just because they're so happy with what happened. It's not so much about the massage, it's more that the sub just feels so happy that she wants to do something back. But it's more about like everything that led to that moment, so it's, yeah. Octavia Hall asks, this may sound like a stupid question, but what do you mean by dominant? Someone who is wanting to be in charge of the situation. Do you think that you do more BDSM related files than you do gentle ones? Statistically, yes. But it's not a very big difference. Susie Brown asks, were you a mischievous child? I don't think so. Generally, I was relatively well behaved. Eight Knives asks, if you have to remember a string of numbers, do you remember it in Dutch or in English? It depends on what I'm working on. If I'm programming, I frequently remember them in English. If I'm talking to someone on the phone in Dutch, I'll remember them in Dutch. Hannah Houston asks, do you own any stuffies? Yes. Cupcake Cat asks, would you advise someone to study something in uni if the chance of employment is low? Yes. I think it's better to pursue your interests than to focus only on what would earn well. Grinning Wolf asks, where would you find more education for being a better sub and not being misled? I wish there was a good place to educate subs. There's a lot of groups on FetLife that are pretty decent. Rebecca White asks, do you prefer a more confident sub or a more naturally shy sub? Yes. Madison asks, do you enjoy puppy play or kitten play more? Yes, Cheyenne asks, so I've started to experiencing hypnosis when I was 8. Is that too young? Actually, hypnosis is used to rock you to sleep when you're a baby, so... Octavia Hall asks, do you know why when you tell us to close your eyes and imagine something, it can be difficult? That depends on the person. I try to describe things as much as I can. Susie Brown asks, do you record your files in advance or on the day? Usually in advance, a few days. Just so that I don't have to record it on the day itself, because it would be too impractical. Gemma asks, any recommendation for becoming more dominant? By the way, we're going to have the last few questions. I noticed that it was already 11:30. Any recommendation for becoming more dominant? Yeah, experience. And Darky asks, can we add you on FetLife? Yes, that's fine, although it's easier to just follow me. It's a nice new feature. And Lisorios, ask your mother. She probably rocked you to sleep when you were little. And Octavia Hall asks, is singing a lullaby considered hypnosis? No, but using a calming tone of voice does help. So we're going to do the last 2 questions. Emily asks, when will you sing us a lullaby? And someone else asks the same question. We will see. Rebecca White asks, do you think it's much more satisfying bringing a shy sub out of their shell? Well, see, this again implies that a sub that is already open doesn't have any fun. You just have different funs. And I will answer one more question because I said the 2 questions before that one. So this is the last question. Lavender Kitty asks, what is your advice to people who find it especially hard to turn their brains off and relax? Practice. Really just let things happen as they do. Don't worry if you are blank or not blank, if you have thoughts or no thoughts. The less you worry about thoughts, the less thoughts you'll have. Now let me thank you all for being here, and again my patrons for supporting me. It is amazing to see how that has grown. Prettige kerst en een gelukkig nieuwjaar voor iedereen. I hope that all of you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and whatever holiday you may wish to do. I will see you all in February, and be good. Good night, everyone.